Yeah, so we're gonna try the machine called 192.168.24, which is our stapler machine. And over here we can see 404, which is page not found. And what are we gonna do? We're gonna try to enumerate with the help of Nmap. So over here I'm gonna use Nmap -s small s capital C, which is your script scanning concatenate. SV for service plus version, -p to scan the entire port numbers, and -t4 for aggressive scan, time and threads for fast execution. And through the net discover, we identified the IP address, which was our 24 on the local environment network. So let's see how much time it will take. It will take around 15 seconds more. So we have interface of 404, which is page not found. As you can see, the HTTP status code. In the back end, we will see nothing, just some HTML codes. Okay, so the scan has been done as per the Nmap, and we can see it has 20 port number, which was totally closed, which is FTP data. But over here, I can see there is a 21 port number, which is FTP, and it's showing us anonymous access available. And we can see a version of FTP also, VSFTPD 2.0. And the most important thing, anonymous access is available, which is your default credentials. We can see the port number 22 is open there, and we can see the encryption standards. Plus the 53, the DNS, the domain name is open. Plus the port 80, which we can see the 404, which is port not found. Port 123 is closed. 137, 138, which is your net BIOS. Some are name servers, some are datagram services, and 139, which is your NetBIOS SSN Samba. And we can see there is one more port, which is on port number 666, which is Open Doom, and we can see some values over here. I can see the MySQL server is also running on the back end, and we have another port number, which is 12,380, which is HTTP, and we can see this is Apache also. So on this server, we can see there is a website is hosted. The title, Team We Need to Do Better Than Next Year in Inditech. So let's try with this port 12380. The port number was 12380. So it means we can see over here that the website is hosted on a different port. So it's on the port number 12380 instead of the port 80, which is your HTTP. And through that we can see that it's a website on hosted. So we coming soon. You can besides free downloads. Let's see if we can find something in source code. And over here we can all see our metadata characters, which is HTML. So what we're going to try over here, we're going to try to enumerate more services. For example, we know that there is a port number 1238, and on the port number 2480 there was 404. So let's go to the Nmap, and we're going to try one by one all the things. So over here, we're going to try with the anonymous, with the FTP server to play. So let's try. So over here, I'm going to use FTP protocol and IP address. So when I simply use FTP plus the port IP address, it shows 200 it's corrected. Now he's asking me the username of the root. So over here, I doesn't know the username, so I'm going to use the anonymous word as the username. Why? Because we're going to use some null session. Now it's asking me the password. If it doesn't know the password, hit enter. So you will see a successful anonymous login, which is your default credentials. So over here we can see FTP. So let's put a question mark. Through the question mark, we will see the available function over here. So these are the available functions on the server side that we can use it for further case studies. So I can see escalation, dir, mdelete, qc, and we can see $sign disconnect, mdr, put command. So I'm going to use over here ls command to check the list of available files. So ls, and over here I can see there is no such files on the server side. We can see there is empty. There is a file which is a node file, sorry, which has read permission only. So what we're gonna do over here, we're gonna try to manipulate, or we're gonna try to get the file from the FTP server. To get the file from the FTP server, which is your node file, we're gonna use a function called get. Where is it? We're gonna use a get. Get option is basically used to fetch the file from the FTP server. So if you put get over here and then file name, we can simply transfer the file in our local server. So let's see the file. So it will be on the home directory of your Linux system. So over here we can see the node. Click on that and we have a message over there. So over there is a message to Ali, make sure the update the payload information, leave it in your FTP account once you are done, John. So we can see that there is a username called Ali. Make sure to update the payload information, leave in your FTP account, John. Okay, so there is a payload information of the FTP Ali, but this is a username. But what will be the password? We need the password to get inside of the Ali user. For this case, what we can do, we can try to enumerate such more things. For example, through the FTP server, we can simply communicate with the server if there is no password set. So we can simply jump to the same folder. We can't jump to any of the folder side. So if I do cd /, if I do ls again, I am on the same directory. We can't have the permission to change the file. So let's try mkdir make directory. So I'm going to make a directory called craw. Do we have permission of FTP? I say no, we don't have the permission to simply make a file on the server side. So in this scenario, what we can try to find something else. For example, there was a port 139 was open. 139, which is your Samba. So in the previous section of our CH part that we already learned about the enumeration phase of SMB. So we can try for enumeration enum for Linux and -a and iPads. So through the enum for Linux, we can enumerate the assembly shares, assembly clients, and each and every network device which is running in the specific server. So in the above, we can see the netstat. Is it the machine name? We can see the machine name is red. The group work group, domain work group, the master browser, and you can see the platform ID number, the number of shares are available on the server side.
What the platform ID number for?
The platform ID stands for each and every application on the Kali Linux has a ID number, UID. You can or you can say RID. RID stands for relative identification number. In this Kali Linux, each and every services has a specific ID number to identify. For example, if you write ID over here, we can see the root ID number is 0. But for example, if you simply open cat etc password, each and every user on the specific host has an RID. They start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the RID numbers. So in the Linux server, you will have some platform ID number. Platform RID stands for 500.
Yep, makes sense.
Same thing you will see some SID, which is stand for share identification number. For example, let me show you one thing. It's gonna start with the RID from 500 to 1050. See this one. In the local group, the, the administrator group has an RID of 554, which is a constant value. The local group user has an RID 545. Guest, power user, account, server, print, each and every has an RID to identify the services. And if you go down, they're gonna start from 1000 again, and see this one. Enumerating user using SIDs, and they are gonna start from 500 to 1050. See this one. They start from the 500, and the first 501, which was red, the local user. Group domain. And you can see the user ID's number, which has an RID. And the user which contains 1000 RID is a super user. The 1001 is a super user, pseudo user. And you can see other users on the same line. So the main purpose of your enumeration is to extract the usernames and the work group which is active on the specific domain. So for example, over here you will see these are some users like Peter, Newmaker, eTrons, Swagger, Apparent, Shellet, Ambassin, JBrand. These are the local users on the specific server. You can see local users. Most of the attacker, what they perform a normal enumeration part to extract the number of users on the server side. For example, you will see all the things. So what we're going to do, we're going to copy this one. So I'm going to make a folder over here with the help of touch command. And I'm going to name this one user.txt. ls. We can see the user.txt. Now let's use nano text editor. So I'm going to put all the files on the server side. Control X, Y, enter. So the users has been stored. But there is one problem over here. We have to delete these and this.
A super user,
Yes, sir.
we need to delete the super user.
We need to delete this contents like local users plus these things over here.
Okay.
So it's gonna take a lot of time if I simply copy, if I highlight this one and delete. So it's gonna take a lot of time. For this
Yes.
case of scenario, what we can do, we can use a cut command. We're gonna use a cut command. So over here, user.txt, let's open Google and we're gonna use a cut command to clear some text. So cut command in Linux, we can use geek4geeks.org. So we can see the cut command in Linux with examples. So the cut command in Unix is a command for cutting out the second from each and every files, writing the result in a standard output. It can be used to cut parts from the line, byte positions, and characters and fields. So they have given all the things. Cat command, they're gonna use a cut statement. So over here, we are not going to use the byte command to simply cut some of the characters byte. Uh, Over here, we're gonna use -f fill. Fill is a proper line of segment. You can see option is usefully for fixed length of lines. Most Unix file systems have fixed length lines. To extract the useful information, you need to cut by fields rather than the columns. So over here, we're gonna use the -d, which is called a delimiter. -f the field. For example, they are using -f with the field one and the text file. So let me show you how does it looks like. So I'm going to use a cat command, user.txt, which contains all the bodies. So over here we're going to use a pipe command. We're going to use cut command over there. -f the field one of the file user.txt. Wait, what happened? Oh, sorry. We have to mention with the delimiter also. So the delimiter would be our backslash, which will be our field first. So backslash, I think it will be a single quote. So what happened from the field one? All the things have been deleted. So if you try 2, you can see from the field 2, all the data has been deleted. So we can use a pipe command again, cut from the field 1 with the delimiter space of the user.txt. So you can clear the files from one by one, all the things over here. So in this scenario, we're going to try to extract all these files from one by one, and how to use those things. The cut command is the important part. So I'm going to show you how does it works like. So when we do a cat user.txt, over here, this will from here to here is it would be a field 1, and from this it will be a field 2. So we have to specify with the help of delimiter to extract the files. So in this scenario, what we're going to do, we're going to try to use the cut command again. So we're going to use cat, the user.txt. We're going to use the pipe command again. For this one, I'm going to use the cut command with the -d, the delimiter, which is from \1, and with the field 2. Or you can simply use again a pipe command, cut command -d, the delimiter, which is from space, which is field 1. For this case, now it will be field 1. Save. We can save this file on the root desktop and name this step user.txt. File has been created in a proper manner. So these were the users which is present on the server side, which was the local user or the specific server. So what we can try to manipulate, or we can try to extract the number of users. So when we have a proper usernames, we can try the brute force attack. See over here, we can try the brute force attack on the port 2020. We can try, because some of the users, they are lazy to put their same names. We have to try the things. So these are the local users on the server side with the Ali, Nathan. Let's try with this one. So I'm going to use to perform a brute force attack on the port number 22. So for that case, I'm going to use a tool called Hydra over here. Hydra is one of the best tools for performing any kind of brute force attack on the protocol side. You can try over here. Offline tools, online tools. You can see Hydra is over there. So we're going to perform a simple brute force attack. So I will see something like small l, which is your login, or capital L, which is your file. So in the small l, when you you can use it for when you have a username. When you know the username, you can use small l. And when you have the password, you can use small p. But if you doesn't have the username and password and you have to put a word list, you have to use capital L and capital P on that specific one. And over there are some files like capital C, capital M, T for task, for faster execution, -U for uses. So we're gonna perform a small brute force attack. So over here I'm gonna use Hydra. I'm gonna perform a brute force attack on the login form, which is capital L, and we're gonna give the file name. So it was stapler. We're gonna use the capital P. So I'm gonna use the same dictionary which is created. And I'm gonna use the IP address of the server and the protocol which we want to perform a brute force attack. So SSH. So with the capital L, I'm just putting a dictionary, which is stapler.txt, and capital P for the same dictionary for username and password brute force on the server IP address 1.24 on the SSH protocol. So let's try hit enter, and the attack has been started. So the brute force has been started on the protocol called SSH. So we have to wait for that to complete it and to get the exact username and password. So over here we can see the port number 22 has a username which is called shellit, and the password is also shellit. As per the data on the file on the stapler.txt, there was a user shellit according to all the users. So the main objective of the Hydra is to perform a brute force attack on the server side. So when we have the username, we can try an attacker try to communicate with the SSH port. For that case, SSH shellit @ and the IP address. The password. So the password was also shellit. An attacker can simply log into that specific server. The main objective of this machine was to enumerate each and every services and to find the exact point to attack. For this scenario, we are on the server side. Can we run ls command? We don't have. Okay. Let's try pwd where I'm on the shell directory. So write ls-all. So some of the files was hidden over here. So let's jump to the root directory. So we have a proper access to the server and we can simply jump any of the directories. So remember one thing, when you're enumerating any services, we have a checklist. For the checklist we're going to use is our got milk. for basic privilege escalation commands or the number of exploits we can try. So the most of the attackers, if I'm an attacker, I'm going to look for the 6 type of attacks on the server side. For example, the kernel exploitation or the 6 different types of attacks. For example, exploiting services which is running as root. So we can try one by one all the things over here. For example, let's try with the kernel exploitation part. If we can find any loopholes over here. For that case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the directory called etc, which is our configuration file. So over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look for the version. So we can see LSD release. So let's try to open this one. Cat. To the LSD release, I can see this is a Ubuntu server with a release version of 16.04. Let's try to write the uname-a also. So the proper exploit of a kernels depends on the kernel exploit. So we can see the version, the Linux version is 4.4.0 and the release version is 16.04, which is Ubuntu. So most of the attacker, what they do is they simply look for the exploit on the google.com. Ubuntu 16.04. And what we're going to look for, we're going to look for the exploit over there. Let's try with the first one, second one. So we have exploit of kernel Linux 4.4.0 and the Ubuntu version is 16.04. And the exploit name is double ftp put. Let's try the second one. We can see this is also 4.4.0 with Ubuntu version 16.04. Local privilege escalation. Let's try the first one. Uh, Guys, give me 5 minutes. I'm coming in a few minutes. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, let's continue class. So, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay. So over here we can see a proper kernel exploit. So this is given a code in the Linux 4.4 when the configuration via system call configuration option is set, the kernel unprivileged VF disabled. So I guess this is a different thing over here. We should know about the kernel exploitation plus the binary codes. But over here we can see which parameter or which function it will call. So over here we can see the problem which is caused by the attack, which is pd put command. A simple proof has been given in the below, and they have an exploit that put all the together in an exploit.tr file. So they have given a uses how to use those files, and we can see the, the fix, and we can simply download the exploit.tv file, which has the mirror. So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to share it over here. So let's save the file. So the file has been saved over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to look for something else. For example, as per the data, the file would be on exploit.tr file. So we have a proper exploit. So I'm going to extract this one, and let's try it over here. So we need to transfer this file on the local machine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a Python command to make a Ftp server. So I'm going to use Python -m method simple HTTP the server. So it will defaultly run on the port number 8000. So let's type netstat ANTUP. So I can see that Python is running on the port number 8000. Let's check the IP address of the file. So my IP address is 104 or 108 also, which has two interface. Let's try with the 104. So we are on the server side. So what I'm going to do, we have the permission to download all the files on the local server temp file. So I'm going to do cd temp ls-all. So we're going to transfer the file over here. So the command would be wget http IP address on the port 8000 and the file name 39772.zip. So the file has been transferred over here properly, and we can see through the logs. The file has been transferred with the get parameter, which is showing HTTP 200 OK response. So we have properly transferred the file. So ls-all, and we can see the file. So this is a zip file which has only read file. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change permission, change mode. Now we're gonna try unzip command 39772.zip, and we can see there is a file called macOS, which is exploit.tar file 3972 ls-all. So as per the data, they have given the tar file and the exploit file. Let's see the exploit. So they were saying you have to extract the tar file, which will then you have to use the compile.sh file, then the I double put function. So let's try with this one. So the tar file, we have to extract the tar file. So let's use star hyphen help. So we're gonna use star to extract the files. So over here we can see example tar cf create an archive file from the file foo and bar tbf list of all files in archive presently, or xf extract all the files from archive table. So we're gonna use xf x for execution format. So xf and exploit file. You can see the file over there. So over there, we can see the compile.sh file as per the data and some double put files. So we will have to run the compilation as per the data. So let's try compilation file. So we have a warning. Let's avoid the warning and ls-all. And over there, we can see a double put function as per the instruction. Let's try the double put function. Starting right, get pointer reuse. If this works, we will find a root shell in just 60 seconds. So the most important part that we are not an exploit writer. So if we know some binary language, so we can write our own exploitation code. So over here, what I can see that we have a root successful. We have rooted privileges now because the kernel was outdated. As a pen tester, you have to check all the things one by one on the server side to get unwanted attackers to get a proper attack. So in this scenario, the kernel exploitation was outdated. The kernel version was outdated, and there was a proper shell on the server side. So an attacker can use that exploit or gain unauthorized access, but the most important thing is enumeration. So this was all on this machine. But there are many ways that we can try to exploit further things.